Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon is on vacation. And who else?
Billy Spitfire Unlimited.
Billy Spitfire Unlimited and Limited. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. Thank you. Welcome to our show. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our said show, our aforementioned show. We've got a fantastic guest tonight. One of the things anybody who's been listening to this, we truly appreciate our supporters, and we've got one of our longest running supporters tonight.
Oh, yes.
Who are you, supporter?
I am not an athletic supporter, but I am a show supporter. This is Michael Vanzandt from Troy, Illinois, just outside of St. Louis, Missouri.
That is correct. A Grand Poohbah nonetheless. And
yes.
we're truly
Perhaps
grateful.
the grandest of Poohbahs.
Oh, man, this bubbly water's killing me right now. I'm sorry. There's going to be a few more of those. So that all being said, we've been talking with Michael for a long time. We've mentioned him on the show many times. Actually, just a couple episodes ago, I'm not sure, Michael, if you recall this, but I brought up how in the middle of the Smashing Pumpkins show that you were at a couple years ago, you sent me like a live feed of the show in the middle of the show when you should be enjoying the show. And you're like, hey, I think you'd like this. I know you like this. Here you go. And I got to tell you, man, just like I brought it up on the show, it's like that meant a lot to me. Not because I necessarily got to see the show even, but, I was like, wow, what do you say to that kind of thing, So thank you. And you've been gracious in your dealings with us and have been helping the show run for the last, I guess, 5 years now.
Yeah, I think it's almost that long, yeah. And incidentally, I'm going to go see the Pumpkins and Jane's Addiction here in just a matter of about 2.5 weeks.
Yes.
No way. Nice.
Very, very good stuff coming for them. And actually, one interesting thing about that particular show is that Troy Van Leeuwen is filling in for Dave Navarro, who's dealing with COVID complications right now.
Oh, wow.
And Eric Avery, who is really the creator of most of the early songs, at least from the musicality of it. He's back in the band. They had a falling out, and he's back, and I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, I was excited to hear that too. And I mean, Chris Chaney's no slouch, but to have Eric back is gonna be pretty amazing. And Troy is a fantastic musician. He similar experience. When I saw Queens of the Stone Age, I was like second row and right in front of Troy all night. It was pretty amazing to watch.
You gotta be.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Do what you can to get up there and on this stuff. I mean, we are I think similarly musically minded, something like that. Was that the right way to say that, Tony? Let's go with that.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. So same thing. Like we could probably go show for show and be like, yep. So
yeah, probably so.
I appreciate you being out there and being a brother from another mother out in the seats watching the shows.
Can we clear something up right out of the gate?
Yes.
Are you related to Little Steven?
Oh my gosh, is that what?
I was waiting for someone to pick up on that.
You didn't go for like Ronnie or something?
Ronnie,
like that?
Donnie, Johnny.
Yeah.
Mickey.
Let's put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if I am, but I haven't seen any checks yet. No run-ins at family reunions, so I'll go with it.
Okay. So we'll call you quasi-related.
There
Right.
you go.
Okay.
We just happen to spell the last name slightly different, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, that's good because that throws people off a little.
Yeah. So they're not banging on your door asking for autographs. All right, let's get on with this nonsense. We've got a great show ahead. We're going to find out all the things behind Mr. Michael and just talk about some cool guitar stuff. Right, Billy?
Yes.
Yes.
I love guitars. Do we have any announcements?
We do. Let's get on with that. We need to thank
Rode
Rode Mics for providing our audio equipment. We've got a couple of fantastic microphones and a fantastic Rode Caster Pro, which is our big device that is making this happen. So thank you so much to Rode for making that cool stuff. Not let alone providing it, but just making this.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. And they've got some new upgraded stuff. Who knows
what kind of garbage we'd be recording off of right now?
I remember.
Yes, I take that back. I know what kind of garbage we were. All right. So I also had another one that I wanted to bring up.
Please do.
Well, we get a lot of things sent into us. I love when we get feedback on our shows. And this is from our friend Stuart George out in Wales. Wales. He says, "Hi, Knobs. Just listened to the podcast." This was 1 or 2 ago. He says, "There's some really good smaller British guitar brands out there." This is when Tony and I were thinking about. You were there, weren't you, Billy? Yeah, sure you were there.
Yeah, it was like, why can they make really great amps but not so great guitars?
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. And he says, worth checking out are Trent guitars, Fidelity guitars, Iveson guitars, Kithara guitars. That sounds like Welsh. And Ankota guitars. Don't know where that. Okay, there you go. Let's Trent, Fidelity, Iveson, Kithara with a K, and Ankota, Ancoata guitars. I've heard of Trent and Fidelity, but I'm not familiar with the other three.
Yeah.
A good time to buy from the UK, as our pound is worth about a potato. Yeah.
Good to know.
And good time to buy, I guess you could say, other things. Like there's some fantastic UK pedal builders out there.
Oh, yes.
That's one thing. We say, okay, amps, sure. Guitars, so-so. Pedals, some fantastic pedal builders out there.
Oh, yes.
So thank you to our friends out in the UK who've, been on the show, support our show, and are making things that we can talk about on our show. All right. So that's the announcements part. Let's get on with just like dudes talking about stuff. What's going on in our music world this week, Tony? Well, we're going to start with you.
Are we?
We are, and then we're going to check in with our friend Michael
But we
Vanzandt.
never start with me.
I know. I thought it might be a nice change of pace.
Wow, I feel really, really good about that now. Well, Todd, this week I actually put together another one of my Chinese finds from my good friends at DHgate. And this one, I wanted something a little bit different.
I can't believe how lucky you get on that. Like, you actually get really good ones.
Well, let's
be clear. Stuff, I can't find anything.
Let's be clear.
All right.
I've got about a 50%.
That's true.
Rate.
That's true.
Because things
dogs.
get stuff sent. I mean, the ones that I've received have actually been pretty good.
Right.
But there's a lot of times where they give you a tracking number, it goes somewhere else, or it's never tracked, or it's wrong, or whatever.
Can I also clarify just really quick, and Billy certainly, and Michael, please weigh in, but on the show, what the whole reason we had the show is to spotlight the boutique builders, the people who are making these things that aren't like, Fender and Gibson and all that stuff, which make awesome things, but giving the spotlight to those who might not usually get it. In doing so, our goal is to support them.
Right.
Now, the things that Tony's typically getting are things that you can't buy anymore, don't exist, mostly don't exist because it's like some strange interpretation of a model.
Yeah.
Or there's just, like, the thing you're going to talk about is like kind of stratospherical cost-wise.
It's obscure.
It's obscure. Yeah. It's very expensive,
yes.
And there's only very few made of them.
Correct.
So I just want to make it clear so that we're not like, saying, hey, we support the builders, and P.S. we're going to buy all the cheap guitars.
Well, thank you for that clarification, Todd.
I think it's important.
It is important.
Because we do both. Mostly the supporting the boutique builders, but if you tend to find some pretty neat gems out there.
I do find some things. So this one,
and then he retrofits them with all kinds of boutique stuff.
well,
Yeah,
that
is true.
That is, I mean,
Boutique pickups and
if you're
parts
going to get one of these, plan on replacing everything.
It's true.
I mean, it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
So tell us what you got.
So I this guitar is based on one of Josh Homme's earlier guitars. It was a model called a Bel Air, and it's basically a ES335, but with a really big upper horn.
Right.
So it's almost like a big fat semi-hollow telly, I guess you could say. It's got kind of like a Rickenbacker / sound hole. It's got a huge guard on it. And this guitar they got a lot of things right on it. I'll say that. The shape and everything like that. But they missed in a couple of places, and typically the electronics are mediocre at best. They claim that they put Grover tuning machines. Well, if these are Grover tuning machines, I've got
the wood is wood.
The wood is definitely wood.
Everything else.
The finish is definitely finish, and the binding is definitely binding. But it's pretty cool, and what my experience with these has been, with some setup and some changing out of the plastic parts and the electronics, you end up with a pretty decent guitar for not a lot of money. I really liked. I wanted to do this project because I've seen photos of this guitar. I've never played an actual real one. And I said, well, this would be kind of fun to have one and be able to just, modify it as I saw fit. So this one that I brought in today for the guys to look at was, it has new plastics on it. It's got some old, some new old stock screen top pickups that I put some red sparkle underneath the screen, and it's a really cool guitar. So I'm pretty happy with the way things are now. A couple of things that I'm going to change out, because there is I don't like some of the graphics that they used on it and that sort of thing. So I'm going to actually paint out the headstock black, and I found a Repro V with flags, that they used on Chevy Camaros for small block Vs on the fenders.
Yep.
And it actually fits right in the same size as the headstock, so that's
cool.
going to go up there. And then I found
It would have been on the side of the Camaros too, like the front quarter panel.
Yeah.
I believe that's where they put those.
Yeah, on the side of the fender.
I saw Brian Setzer with one of his Christmas shows playing something like that.
That's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, but I could never figure out what model, what brand that was. But
Yeah.
that's the guitar.
So, and then I also found, because it's technically a Bel Air guitar. I found there's a Repro.
The brand is not Bel Air.
No,
but the model.
Of
the brand
is called.
Yes.
It's a Bel Air model, and I found there is a company that does Repro, like late '50s Chevy inside dashboard logos and things, and this is kind of like a script Bel Air that I'm going to put on the upper, because there's nothing else up there on the upper horn. And it's just about the right size to fit right in there.
Yeah.
So it'll say Bel Air on it.
The other thing you can do if that doesn't work out is talk to Matt, who did the 3D printing.
Oh, that's right. That's
so
right.
You could get that 3D printed at any size and have it, plated looking.
Yeah. Well, this one would have been on the dashboard of a 57 Chevy
Which is
Bel
even
Air.
cooler.
So anyhow, it's just, it's something that I do. I can spend a couple $100 and put.
And we talked about putting dashboard
radio
knobs and the radio knobs and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can have some fun with it without feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to ruin like an almost, a pushing $10,000 instrument.
Yep. So anyhow, so that's how I'm having some fun with that.
That's cool.
It's a fun guitar. Like I said, it looks if you're looking at photos, it looks like it's much larger than a 335.
Yeah.
But it actually is the same size as a 335. It just has a larger upper horn.
Well, and it's flat. It's not arched.
And it's not arched. Yeah,
so it's a flat box.
Yes.
A slim flat box.
So it fits in a 335 case.
Absolutely. That's what that is.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Thanks for sharing, Tony.
My pleasure, Todd.
Let's see. Let's find out what's going on from Michael.
Well, let's see what's been going on in my music week. Actually, not a lot associated with gear, but a lot associated with music. Recently saw Pearl Jam in concert, and Mr. Mike McCready was sporting a T-shirt of one of my favorite bands, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. Mm-hmm. So that was a nice little high point of the show. And kind of speaking back to our concert experiences there, Todd.
Yeah.
I did see The Cult and Black Rebel Motorcycle Club on this last tour, two of my favorite bands in one bill. So that was pretty awesome.
Me too. Well, you knew that though. That's why you said that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they were great.
Oh yeah. Mr. Duffy he's one of the best. But I have been exploring around with. I picked up an HX Stomp recently, and so recently I have been starting to dive into that, and I'm figuring out where it works best. I'm predominantly a bass player, so there's a lot of it in there that is not for bass. But what is there isn't too bad, and I'm finding figuring out how to move those settings around to get a tone that I like, and I'm still trying to figure out if I want to use it for my cab sim, or if I want to use it for effects. So, that's what's been going on here recently.
And you have an all white themed pedal board, right?
I did the last time I played. I play occasionally once or twice a month at our local church, and one of the things that I did is I was able to put together a couple other pedals that are also white in color. So it just so happened that those were the pedals I was using for the gig that day.
Oh, that's cool.
But the HX was, I was fine getting a white one or a black one. I just didn't want the blue.
Yeah, the blue, no bueno. The white one's super cool.
Yeah.
I think that is pretty neato. So that's right on. Thank you for sharing that. And let's see here. Billy.
Yeah, so I've had a busy week with shows and gigs. I saw, who did I see? I saw Super Suckers.
Yeah, got a cool Super Suckers shirt on.
Yeah, it's got the tiger. That's my spirit animal and all that. I saw Electric Six, which is kind of like a disco club, crazy rock and roll band. Very entertaining. I saw Agent Orange.
Ah, nice.
I had a surf gig.
I bought
my own band.
I got my first 410 cabinet from Agent Orange.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was I think it was I'm trying to think. I believe it was a Randall, but they had put like the full on like iron grate. On the front, but it was painted pink. Hot pink.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that's not going to stay.
Wow. You bought a cabinet that had been on the road with Agent Orange?
Yeah.
Whoa. Was there anything left of it?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Well, yeah, that was a rowdy show.
Were in there?
I can't verify if it was actually around. I know the head that I had at the time.
Wow.
So I didn't know what I was doing back then.
Yeah, it's risky.
I didn't.
And then I had a mathematics show. My punk band played on Monday, along with a band from Brooklyn called TVOD, Television Overdose.
Nice.
Very good band. Look for them. It's a really good band.
Cool.
Very entertaining.
Making
very
waves.
Yeah. Very cool.
Doing
and then
things.
before I came over here, I was testing out Silvertone 1474 50-watt amp.
Cool.
It's got two 12s.
Nice.
It's smoking. It's got the vibrato, and it did not have the reverb circuit.
Wait, did you just buy that?
I'm going to, yes.
Did you find that on Craigslist?
No, it's not on Craigslist.
I just saw Silvertone on Craigslist. I was
Did you really? Huh.
Yeah.
No, this is from a personal friend. Yeah.
Okay.
It's from his collection. I
Oh,
actually
yeah, you
tested out
mentioned
a
that,
few of
yeah.
those things. Yeah. I'm all right. Yeah, but Yeah, I also looked at an AC30.
Well, you
that
also
was,
had a Bastard Sons of Neptune gig.
Yeah. That was Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was the surf gig.
Yeah,
We
and-
played a lot of new tunes too. It was really fun.
That's cool. I heard you
Yeah.
played them very loud because your drummer, who works with me, highly was not happy about that.
Yeah, I asked him before the show. I called him up. I said,
said you were
should
very
I
sweet
bring the
about it."
big boy rig or should I bring the, small club rig? He said, it's a big club. Bring the big boy rig. And so, two 15-inch carbon neodymium speakers
Oh,
that
my
are
God.
rated for 600 watts.
Yeah.
Coupled with an Eden 350 tube head.
Sitting about a foot away from the
sitting
drummer.
like right next to him. Yeah. She said all I
and-
could hear was the
and
rumble.
he
We
was-
played Rumble. We went to play Rumble, and all he could hear was Rumble.
Yeah.
Literally, we couldn't even start the song together.
And he was
because
flanked by a
the-
twin, a Fender twin.
flanked by two, Fender twins. Yeah, so it was,
Ouch.
by two of the loudest players in town. So yeah, it was balls out.
Yeah, you've had a great couple of weeks. And thank you for
Yes.
coming to both of my shows. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. And the week before, wow.
Yeah.
We saw Valentino's. We saw Soraya, who was a rising
Band out of
pop
Philly.
song,
Yeah.
rock song on the pop charts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're on Joan Jett's
good
album.
stuff. Yeah.
Or record label.
Yeah.
Anyways, cool. Well, for me,
What about
speaking
you, Todd?
Well, we're talking. There's a whole lot of music talk going on right now. Actual music talk.
Haley and the Crushers, I saw them too. Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
yeah. They were on our.
amazing.
We shared the bill with them. They were super fun.
Yeah.
So let's see here. I actually yesterday just finished up recording. I think was that yesterday. I think that was yesterday. Yeah, that was yesterday. Finished up recording our latest set of tracks, and I was putting on just a couple of extra, tracks and nuances on these, and it was kind of fun because we recorded the bass, the foundation tracks on the Marshall, which I did a little Instagram reel of, sharing out like why we're using certain mics and all that stuff. It was kind of fun. But for this one to kind of sit kind of on top of that a little bit and just give it more dimension, we actually used his 65 Bassman dimed. It was loud out there, but I was in the control room playing. So
Nice.
and I complemented that at times, either with the I really need. Will somebody please tell me how to say this? The seriatone, Centura. It's the whatever.
The fake clone?
It's the clone that looks like that. Actually looks like it, but it's seriatone or seriatone. But I do this every time. I just need to figure out how to say it. So either that for just some really like bitey. It just gave us like this super like almost like glass bite, which is kind of cool sitting on top of a highly driven guitar. And then also with the Blammo Shrew, which that is a fantastic pedal. Seriously, if you are at all considering expanding on your own Rat collection in any way, shape, or form, or if you've never had a Rat and maybe you just want to try something slightly different, it's a great pedal, very versatile, and I mean that thing is. He put a lot. We had him on the show before, Blammo Electronics, and one thing that he kind of his flag in the sand is my pedals have to be quiet, like really, really, really low noise floor. And with something that's driving that hard, especially through a dimed amp, that was really important. And even John was like, "Man, that thing is really quiet." So we got all the sounds we needed and tried. We had a whole bunch of pedals on the floor. It was kind of fun. Anyways, so that was, I had a nice couple of, at least last week. We're just talking about this last week.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, it was great. So now it's on to mixing and mastering, and Oh, but man, just the playback on it, I got goosebumps. I recorded it. I played it for the rest of the band and my kids, and my arm hair was standing straight up because that's all I have left. So
you guys have some good songs, and they perform them live spectacularly.
Thank you.
I mean, it was really
Thank you.
good.
I appreciate that.
Dead on.
All right. We got to get on to our 4 on the floor. But first, Tony.
So, Todd, you mentioned earlier that you were recording in the studio.
Yes.
And you mentioned that you had a whole bevy of pedals on the floor.
Yes.
How did you connect all those pedals together?
Well, I used patch cables, specifically Tour Gear Design patch cables. Because
the patch cable of the professionals.
Possibly. Because of their various lengths and orientations.
And flatness.
So the C-shape one.
Yes.
Going from top to top.
Top to top.
Top pedal jack to top pedal jack. Or the S-shape. So going from a top pedal to or from a side jack. Very clever. Very clever design. And it didn't break the bank either.
Really?
And you don't have to break the bank. You can go to tourgeardesigns.com, load up your cart, because you're gonna.
Yeah,
Trust
absolutely.
me, when you get there, you're going to be like, I need a bunch of these.
Yes.
Then when you are able to do the coupon code, put in the guitar knobs, all one word, and you're going to save 10% on your order.
10%.
10%. They're going to ship from the nice folks up in Canada, Tour Gear Designs. We want to say a huge thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the floor. Billy, why don't you give us? Belt it. You got vocal lessons. Do it.
Okay.
Go. Ready? Go.
Let me get a little of this. Let me get a little of this. Let me get a little of this.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, I'll do. Okay, I'll do a new technique. I was learning.
Bring it
Scream
back.
it. Let me a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
All right, Michael Vanzandt, Grand Poohbah. Tell us your 4 on the floor.
Okay, this one took quite a bit of thought here because, I'm a collector. I have a lot of pedals. I like pedals. I like the gear. So it's like, ooh, shiny object. I'll take that. Mm-hmm. So first, I have to have a pedal that's going to really set the tone. And that could come in the form of an amp in a box or something along those times. And here recently, I've been using a pedal that was custom made, believe it or not, for me. I am one of only, I believe, 3 people that have this pedal. It's from a local builder here in St. Louis, and I don't even think he's building pedals anymore.
Oh.
It's called the Model A. It's Honest Pedals, Model A, and it is essentially an Ampeg in a box, and it's more of the classic flip-top Ampeg. But it can drive. You can start getting some of that classic Ampeg tone, a little bit of breakup with it, and I use that just really as my set the tone, my always on pedal.
Nice.
And incidentally, in the past, I was using the Barefoot Blueberry Bass Overdrive, which is kind of the same thing, but that one was designed to be more of an SVT style amp, and I love that pedal. I still have it, and I'll still go back to it every now and again. But that Honest Model A is really been there for quite a while now. Next, I love fuzz. Billy, you said that the tiger is your spirit animal. Well, fuzz is mine. Do
you find that it's difficult to, with bass, to get a fuzz that doesn't make it sound the same every time?
Yeah, I do, and that's why I have so many different fuzz pedals, and why I always keep trying different ones. I'll use different pedals with different gear, different basses. If I know I'm going to use a particular amp, I'll redo a pedal board just for that show or that purpose, I should say. And so yeah, I'll run the gamut from big muffs. I got a lot of different variants of big muffs, but the one that is one of my absolute favorite pedals is the low. Super Fuzz from Aisha.
Yes, yep. Yes. I have that one too.
Okay, yeah, and
that
it is
a big, big pedal. And I don't mean, it sounds like a behemoth.
Yeah, yep. It small footprint, And I've got one of the custom art ones. Got in touch with her, and she let me pick one that they did. And man, is it a fantastic pedal. Kind of have to rein it in, with bass too. I've got
on guitar as well.
Yeah.
You can probably blow out your speakers if you're not careful.
Yeah. And that speaks to that, because she's also a bassist, she keeps that in mind. And when she's building these pedals, and, we talked about this one as we were going back and forth about, and that was one of my main first questions. How does it work with bass? And, it was a gimme. It works fantastic with bass, but it is huge. So I do have to rein it in. And I use it sparingly. I'm not always on with the fuzz, for the kind of stuff that I play out is much more, even keel type of music. But yeah, when I'm in the basement, just exploring different tones and playing along to things, that one gets the nod a lot too.
Nice. Hey, just really quick, two things that I'd like to tack onto that. Number one, Low Sounds was recently in a nasty accident, and
Yep.
They're on Lauren Audio. If you go to Instagram and check out Lauren Audio, LAUREN Audio, they've set up a link where you can not only help them out, but you get entered into a raffle to win some pretty freaking awesome pedals.
Oh yeah. I think doesn't John have a pedal in there?
I believe so. There are a few that in there I was like, oh geez, I would love to have that. But I more importantly, want
to help Aisha.
Yeah. So she's a great addition to our community, and if you get a second, please go over, and any love you can share, please do. The other thing I wanted to mention was in as a collector and in search of pedals specifically for bass, often made by bass players. Red Noise in Atlanta he's a bass player, and he's the one that makes the Stone Blender, which is a variable fuzz. Is like 5 fuzzes kind of in one. But what's really interesting is his fuzz. He was on. Oh gosh, Tony, can you look that up while I'm talking? His particular pedal, which he makes them all by hand in his garage, and they sound fantastic. Every single person that I've let borrow that pedal has been really blown away by it.
And that's called the Stone Bender?
The Stone Blender.
Blender.
Yeah, and but he does a variety of other ones, and he's a very experimental noise bass player, and a really, really great guy. And I just bring that up because as a bass player to another bass player, he might say, oh, wow, actually, I could, maybe you guys could work together on something. I don't know. I'm putting things out there that may or may not work in the universe, but, wherever I can hook somebody up, I try to. But really cool stuff that he does out there.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's one of the things I love about the show is that you discover these builders this way, as opposed to going out and buying something, this is the standard off the shelf fuzz pedal from a large builder, large company. So, and I like the fact that the custom builders will find different variants of fuzz pedals. Not everything is a fuzz face. Not everything's a big muff.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, I remember what the thing is about the Stone Blender. There's a knob on it. It is a declip knob, and so you can select one of 4 diode characters, as well as having volume, fuzz, and tone in this. And they all light up with different color LEDs. It's really, it's a fun pedal. But then there's a declip, which is so you can keep the character and the sound and the tone and of that particular diode selection, but not have to be stuck with, I guess, for lack of better terms, well, it's the clip. It's the clipping character. So you can adjust the clipping character, but keep that kind of tonal aspect of it, which is a really cool aspect of that, and it makes it just so versatile.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
and you
I
get
just
to
looked it
support
up.
a builder, so everybody go out there and do that. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, I just looked it up when you were talking about it. That is a cool looking pedal.
It really is. Yeah. And it sounds great. I mean, it's one thing if things look cool, but I mean, it is a great sounding pedal. Yeah. Anyways, please continue.
Okay, so number 3 is going to be a drive pedal of some kind. Drive, dirt, nasty boost, whatever you want to call it. And my go-to for quite a while, and it has a permanent spot on my board most of the time, is the ZVEX Super Duper with the concert bass mod.
Old school.
I had the stand. I have a regular Super Duper. I lucked out. I found a used Guitar Center steel on a hand-painted Super Duper. So that one's going to stay in the drawer forever. But then when I saw them doing the concert bass mod, and obviously it's based off of it's based off of the Sun concert bass amp. And so doing the concert bass mod, they market that pedal for bassists and maybe some Doom players, people who are playing in lower tunings. But I absolutely love that pedal. It's awesome.
Nice.
An honorable mention, just a couple of episodes ago, you had someone mentioning the Looking Glass pedal by Shoe. I've got one of those, and it was on my board for a while.
Really?
I really like that pedal too. Yeah. I've got a ton of pedals that were made and designed for guitarists, but I use them on my bass, and I find a way to make them work. And quite honestly, if they turn out to be maybe way too bright and they just, cut out all of my low end tone, then I move on and I try something else. But yeah, sometimes I find things that just work. And again, they're not always on, but maybe they turn out to be just what a particular part of a song needs.
Very cool indeed. I will say within that realm, my bass player, I turned him on to the Dr. No Colossus, which is great with bass, and it has a octave, it's like an octave bleed, I think it's called, and I could be wrong, but it also has a mix, so you can dial in your clean mix versus your I guess wet or dirty into it. That's a great pedal as well for bass if people are trying to do effective and very useful and colorful sounding drives for bass.
I would love to get some Dr. No gear. His wah pedals, the Holy Guacamole
is incredible.
Yeah, I would if I could sell a kidney or something and buy one of those, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Let's see here. Number 4.
Number 4, it's not something I do a lot, but modulation. I use it sparingly, and man, I was really, really torn. I do have the Red House Heatwave Trem from Mike, and I love that pedal, but I have to go with one of my earliest pedals that I ever bought and that has been on my board before in its original form and now in its new mini pedal form, and that is the Small Stone Phase Shifter. I think Tony, you were kind of ripping on it a few episodes back, but exactly. Yeah. Yep, exactly for that reason. And believe it or not, going back to my early days, we actually used that sound to introduce a song. We used that excessive whooshing noise for a song. But for bass, again, it's subtlety. So it's not like anything over the top, and I can turn up the rate on that thing and almost use it a little bit like a tremolo. So that's typically how I'll use that, and that's how I was using it until I got the heat wave. And now if I really want to use trem, I'll use the heat wave. But given the history that I've had with that phase shifter, that occupies a spot on my 4 on the floor.
Fantastic, man.
Sweet. That's a great 4 on the floor.
Relate. Yeah.
Now what about utility pedals? Do those count as 4 or not?
Yeah, go ahead and throw one in.
Compression. One of bass player's best friends is a comp. And so I've got the Keeley bassist comp that I've been using. and for a while. But I've used a few different comps. But here's one of the things that I don't know if many people do is that I actually run my comp at the end of my chain. I had been using it at the front of the chain to really just tighten the tone, so I could get it nice and tight for some of the pedals I would use, like if I'm putting fuzz at the front or if I used a wah. But I actually really have now found that I like it at the end of the chain because I'm getting the tone that I want out of the pedals as it goes through the chain, and then the comp just simply funnels it down and then sends it to the mix.
Mm-hmm. Nice. You use a limiter too?
Nope.
Nope. No limiter. Okay. You got the touch. You got the magic touch on the fingers. That's for
yeah.
Limiters for kids, right?
Yeah. Well, quite frankly, I don't play slap or anything like that, and
okay.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah,
I like it.
Fair enough. So what guitars or basses are you playing? What are you playing through all those pedals?
Most of the time, most of my basses are Fenders. I'll play the P bass. I've got 2 or 3 P basses, a couple of different variants, and then a jazz bass and a Jaguar bass. Those are probably my go-tos. I have a few non-Fenders as well, but that's generally what I'm playing. It's either a jazz bass or my P bass. Now, my Jaguar bass has actually got the jazz pickups in it. It's one of the made in Japan basses from several years ago. And so instead of playing an actual jazz bass, I'll play my Jag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that. And now when that bass came out, I thought that was a really cool option. And especially with the, by putting the jazz bass pickups in it, I guess they could have gone away the way of doing, like a more of a traditional, Jaguar style pickup with just 4 pull pieces, but
does it have PJ or just
2 jazz?
The new ones do.
Jazz. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, the Jaguar basses that you find now are PJs, but this is from the early 2000s.
Yep. Gotcha.
Mine's a burst model. They do come stock with a pre in them, so if I wanted to put the battery in there, I could play it active, but I play it passive.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
I dig it. Very cool, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your 4 on the floor and all those other things. We just kind of rolled into the bass, which is cool. And Billy also plays bass, so he naturally wants to know all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. Bassists unite.
Well, hey, talking about that, maybe you'd like to share with the rest of the people out there who might be bassists or even rolling into guitars, like, what is some of the gear that you have found that have been sort of like your go-to weapons, or your even super secret ones that you don't necessarily drag out all the time, but you're like, this is the thing?
Yeah. What I thought was going to be a secret weapon has actually turned out to be something that I did not bond with at all, and that's a Rickenbacker or Rickenbacker or
Backer is correct.
Backer is correct.
I know. I did that for you, Tony. But yeah, I bought a Rick, and I spent I don't know how many hours with it. The only thing I didn't do was connect the Ricka sound. I didn't really have a way of doing that. So, and I just tried all kinds of different configurations. I tried it through different amps, through different pedals, and man, for some reason it just didn't bond with me. And I was partially disappointed because I really, really wanted to play a Rick.
I will say that there's a lot of people, very few people. I mean, Geddy Lee is probably the only well-known bass player that jumps back and forth between Ricks and jazz basses and that sort of thing. But it's almost like 2 different camps, and definitely 2 different sounds, because a Rick, generally speaking, is much brighter than just about any other bass out there, I would say. I mean,
well, depending on how you play it, though.
Well,
I mean, there can be. I just call the sound clanky. because it has that clank of the you can
cool
hear
looking.
the frets clanking against the strings. But then you also have there's also a nice low rumble to the tone too. So it's like this. It's like both. It's like this rumble and a clank. And
I think that speaks to the rig that you're playing it through too, because I'm not playing it through a large cab. I'm not playing it through a 15-inch sub on it. So maybe the way the rest of my gear just kind of kept it from really shining. But I've seen other musicians play rigs, and man, they sound great. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's try it.
So it was more the sound than the playability, and that you didn't bond with.
Yeah, it was mostly the sound. Playability, I was looking at getting rid of the pickup cover and getting one of those concave thumb rests to put in there. Mm-hmm. But since I just didn't really bond with the guitar and it just didn't give me the tone that I was looking for, I'm not gonna spend anything else on it. I want to use it to trade for something else.
Fair enough.
Well, I think that's, because there will always be somebody that wants, a nice Rick bass, and if you can get something that you want more than that, then
they're so expensive.
Well,
I got lucky in buying mine. I really did. It's one of the walnut basses with the maple neck.
Yeah,
I love a maple neck on a guitar. That gives me the feels. So yeah.
I'm not saying they shouldn't be expensive, but it's like.
But by comparison, if you look at an American-made instrument, which
that's fair. That's fair.
Is it fair?
That's fair.
Thank you.
Yeah. What else?
Oh man. I do have. It's my workhorse of a bass. Several years ago, after I had quit playing for a while and then started back up, I didn't have hardly any gear left. I hadn't saved anything. And so whenever I went out to buy a bass, I just went to my local music shop, and I'm like, all right, here's how much I'm going to spend. What do you got? And I bought this would have been also in the early 2000s, probably very early 2000s, a Dean Edge Q4. It's a Korean-made Dean. It's 24 frets. It has EMGs in it. And what I loved about it was the EMGs were super quiet. I love the versatility. I can get some awesome jazz bass tone out of this thing. I can get some thump out of this. And I suspect if I could play slap bass, it would slap amazingly. The thing about this thing is it's always in tune. I can let that bass sit for months and I go pick it up and plug it in and it rocks. A lot of people dump on, lower priced gear, but I've got that Dean I'll never get rid of it. It's a fantastic little bass. I've got a couple Squires, and I love them. They're so much fun. So yeah, that one probably has a special spot for me, but probably the one that is above all is I've got it's the Precision Plus, the P-Bass Plus. You mentioned the Bel Air, Tony, earlier. Mm-hmm. This P-Bass Plus was known for the extended horn. It was called the Boner bass.
Oh, yes, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Mine's in a blue burst, has rosewood neck, and it's a PJ, and it has a series parallel switch on it. Tone control is a TBX, so you can roll off. You can do the bass cut or treble cut on it. And that bass used to belong to a friend of mine from high school and college who has since passed. And so not only is it a great sounding bass, a great playing bass, but it's got a lot of personal connection for me and my friend John, who's no longer with us.
Is that like a late 80s bass? And what color?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's anywhere from 85 to like 89. Yep. And oddly enough, mine's in a blue burst. And I think Fender came out with what they're maybe calling like a midnight burst in some of their newer basses here lately and guitars. And it is similar to the blue burst, but it goes from black to blue.
Okay. Okay.
And it's not a bright blue either. It's a nice mellow blue.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about the bass.
Yeah.
baby.
So, you're talking about guitars. You do play a fair amount of guitar, correct?
Describe fair amount. I'm lucky if I remember 3 chords, Todd.
Okay, so maybe not a fair amount. What? Do you have like sort of your special guitar?
Yeah, I do. I actually got it from my drummer at church. It's a made in Japan 62 Tele Deluxe burst with binding, and got it from him for $250. And this guitar is fantastic. I love it. I've swapped out the pickups in it, or the bridge pickup. It's got a Seymour Duncan stacked hum in it. But I'm thinking I'm going to take that out and maybe go back to standard. But yeah, it's a great guitar, and it has a huge dent in the side of it. And to me, that just makes it all that much more special, you know?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Plus, if something already has a dent in it, then you're not afraid to play it. And
Right. Exactly.
Just,
Yeah. Yep.
rip it up.
Yeah, and that's what I do. I've got a few guitar amps as well, and so I'll sit down in my music room and plug that in and just make some noise. And since I play bass predominantly, the way I play guitar is really sloppy, because if I try to finger pick, I'm trying to play it like a bass player. So I force myself to use a pick. I've actually been forcing myself to play more with a pick on bass as well. But on bass, I can do either. I can play finger style or pick. But yeah, with guitar, I'm purposely trying to to learn to play with a pick better. The finger picking is it's a little bit too much for me. And my fretting hand is just like all over the place, because I'm used to pushing down some fat strings and hear these little tiny strings. Come on, how do you guys do that?
Push them through the back of the neck.
Yeah,
I know, man.
Gorilla grip, and that's what Chase calls me. Man, dude, you got to stop with the gorilla grip, dude.
Do you fret so hard that it goes sharp?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, but I'm playing almost entirely power chords. Pretty fast, and I have a lot of changes. I'm not like doing a typical 3-chord thing. I'm like kind of
Yeah. Plus, Todd has some pretty sizable muscles on his arms, so
Yes.
So, Michael, when you started playing bass, did you start by just finger style, or did you start using the pick?
I started with a pick.
Yeah. Okay.
When I first started, this was back in high school. I'll tell you about my very first bass. That was a Vox hollow body. It's a Vox Sidewinder 4.
Yeah, I had one of those. Ooh, boy.
Oh man, I loved that bass.
A little neck heavy, right?
Neck narrow.
No, not the neck.
Narrow, or the tuners.
It was the headstock.
Yeah,
was
the
brick.
headstock weighs as much as the body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and pencil thin neck. Yeah, so it was great fun to play. It's a terrible bass to really kind of play with, but when it's your first band and that's what it looks like, and it had onboard electronics, it had onboard distortion, G tuner, and all this other stuff. Man, it was it was pretty wicked. But yeah, and so I didn't know any better. I didn't take any music lessons or anything like that. So I just all right, here's a pick, here's the strings, start hitting them hard, and that's what I was doing, man.
Yeah. I could see that with that bass, yeah.
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah.
Do you wish you had it back?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I still constantly look for that bass, and it's out there. You can find them, but I kind of, like I alluded to, and even Tony said this a while back. It was one of those made in Italy Voxes, and so it's not the absolute best equipment out there, but I would love to have one more for the nostalgia standpoint than anything else. I don't know that I'd use it much. I've got a couple other hollow bodies that sound really good. So yeah, it'd be nice to have, but I almost kind of like the story about it better than having it.
Right.
And I got a picture or two. My first strap for that thing was a camera strap. I found the picture and I'm like, is that a camera strap on that thing?
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. And the only reason why I play bass is because my best friend had bought a guitar before me. It's like we were putting together a band. He's like, well, I bought a guitar, so why don't you play bass? And I'm like, okay.
I love it. Did you play them all through the same amp too in the living room?
Almost. At least we had our own amps.
Okay.
Yeah, but even those were, cheap and crappy.
Oh yeah.
So like
Those are the
everybody else,
days.
man, that's the way you do it. I try to encourage. I've got a teenage son, and I've got all this gear, and I'm like, hey, man, anytime you want to just make noise, let me know. All of this is at your disposal, and he's an athlete. He looks like a surfer, and if we lived on one of the coasts, he would be in a wetsuit and surfing probably. But here in the Midwest, he's your football, basketball, track guy, and just turned 16, so he's driving. Go to see the girl, all that stuff. And, still, if it's there, if he ever gets the urge, the gear is here for you, buddy.
Nice. I can support that. All my girls play instruments, and actually only one of them is doing the bass. Actually, she plays Stinky the bass.
Stinky.
Yeah.
Stinky. She doesn't play Stinky. She plays Stinky the bass.
Yeah. See, the thing is, Stinky the bass. The more I figure, the more I reference Stinky, at some point in time, it'll be worth something. I commit it to pop lore now.
Okay.
It is actually a pretty nice place, nice bass to play. I should, Billy, I should bring in Stinky for you to check out. Stinky. I think you'd like Stinky.
What is it?
Stinky
What is Stinky?
Tuscadero?
Stinky is, I believe it's an 82 PV Fury, but it's the OG PV logo, not the block style.
Yeah.
And it's a Fury script with the outline on the headstock.
I know
and
the bass.
And it's white with a white pick guard.
Wow.
With a maple neck.
Nice.
Ooh.
And it's
nice.
straight as an arrow.
Wow.
And, I mean, but the reason it's called Stinky, for
I remember
just a
this.
brief refresh, is that at some point in time, it was probably just stuck in a basement or something, just kind of with the lid open, because it just reeked of cigarettes and beer and I'm pretty sure cat urine.
Yeah.
Oh, what a nice combination.
Sometimes the glue in the lining would like smell like pickles.
Maybe
like a
that's
jar of
it.
Pickles.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
I think
it.
It's the glue that
it's
goes
a very
bad.
off smelling thing, but I've aired it out over the years, and it's
it's that Mississippi pickle glue.
Mississippi pickle glue. Yeah.
It's like the shampoo I bought today.
Yeah.
It said it was infused with apple cider vinegar, and I'm like, well, that sounds like it could get kind of stinky. But anyway.
So you
was
did
it?
it anyways?
Maybe it's part of the paint. Maybe it's an agent that they used in the paint.
Gee, your
for
hair
those
smells
guitars.
terrific.
Well, maybe we'll use that to clean out Todd's bass guitar case.
I tried a lot of different things. I tell you that. Anyways, so Michael, tell if you wouldn't mind. I know that you're a great advocate of music. You're a great advocate of the builders out there. Can you maybe just share a little bit about why you are, you're enamored with it, and why what is the draw specifically with the builders? Let's go there.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. It's a connection of the creation. I haven't built a guitar pedal. I haven't put together a guitar. Haven't built an amp. I've taken stuff apart to see how they work, and I swapped speakers and amps and things like that. But to build these pedals, the creativity that goes into it, in my opinion, that's an art in itself. And then when you're talking about designing the aesthetics of the pedals as well, its function and its fashion. You want it to stand out and be attractive. Those are the things that I look at, and the people that are doing that, I know they're putting in their hard time, effort, and money. And most people want something for nothing, but I feel like yeah, and they're chicks for free, yeah. And I feel like I recognize that there's a lot that goes into these things, and it's worth supporting them. I wish I was in your shoes with you guys, being able to play out and gig on a regular and frequent basis. But for me, it's more of a rarity these days. And so I've kind of become more of the collector and supporting as best I can by buying their wares. So, I'll give you an example with Aisha and, and Grant and Karen at Big Ear. I think I've got one of every pedal that Grant has put out.
That's awesome.
Do I use them all? No. But one time I was traveling for work. I was in Nashville, and I had one of his loaf pedals, and it had crapped out on me. So I got a hold of him, and I'm like, "Hey, man, this what do you want to do here?" And he's like, "Get it to me. I'll fix it. I'll make it right." And so I shipped it ahead of time. And then knowing that I was going to be down there, I was able to actually meet him and meet up with him and talk with him. And, it really demonstrates how genuine and real these builders, these people are that put so much effort into it that I feel compelled to help out. And that's another reason why I'm a Patreon, why I'm a supporter of the show. Early on, the idea of your show, Todd, really connected with me, because I really did think that if you were in St. Louis, I could be doing this with you. That kind
I
of
agree.
Thing. And so, that's kind of what drives me to help support the show and builders and try and contribute back to the community as best I can.
Awesome. Well, that's very well put. And if you do ever make it out this way, I know that you will look us up. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So far as Cincinnati is about as far as I've gotten over into. Oh no, you know what? We were in Columbus and did the whole Columbus Zoo and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
I was introduced to Cincinnati, Ohio chili earlier on in my life, and that's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah. Yes. People love to hate it.
It's got some chocolate. It's got chocolate.
Cinnamon.
Chocolate
Yeah.
and cinnamon.
Yeah.
It might as well be a dessert.
Is it a dessert?
Maybe.
Is it a spaghetti? What is it?
You serve it on spaghetti. It's Cincinnati chili.
Pasta, antipasta. What is it?
Yeah. It's
the gift that keeps on giving.
well, Michael, I do. I'm going to ask if you have any before we let you go, because I know you have you got a lot of gear. And I know that you are choiceful with that gear. If I'm gonna give you a chance, heaven forbid anything happened, but if you had to run out of your house,
my gosh,
to maybe to board a flight to move to Tahiti for free, because that happens to some people, and you had to grab a guitar and a pedal. What would you grab? And you can mix it. That doesn't have to be bass. Anything. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a bass. I'll grab a bass. It would be the P Bass Plus. That would be the first one that I would go to. Again, has a lot to do with the instrument that it is and the rest of it and the story that goes with it. So that would definitely,
because you have to leave everything behind.
Yeah, it would hurt. It would that would be really bad. But I would grab that bass.
And what pedal? What pedal?
Man, what pedal? I love fuzz so much, so I would probably grab. I have a Black Russian. That no, I would probably grab Aisha's pedal.
Yes.
Good choice.
Yeah,
That's
probably would. Yeah, I mean, you could go with a more variable pedal, like, I could grab the stomp and play all this other stuff, but
you went sentimental. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what most of us would probably end up doing, assuming we have a sentimental tie to some of the gear, which that's kind of what this is all about. And not all about, but a lot about, I will say. Yeah. It may start out as a utility thing. I need a thing to make a sound. But the more you get into this, the more you actually start to get find attachments and make those connections with the builders and things like that. Yeah. So
do I get to grab an amp too?
Sure.
All right. I've got an AC-15. It's one of the UK models. It's the TBX2. So I'm going to grab my AC-15.
What does that stand for, the TBX2?
It's got twin 10s in it.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. Right now I've got 2 Celestion Golds in it. And
whoa.
Yeah,
nice.
It
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It pushes.
The TB, I think, does the TB stand for top boost?
It may have, but it doesn't have a top boost channel.
Oh, it doesn't.
At least I don't think so. I'd have to run downstairs and look.
Does it have a tone cut potentiometer on it?
Now you're going to make me look it up online or something.
That's all right.
The UK ones usually did have the cut that people don't understand.
I was looking at an AC-30.
Yeah.
From the 70s, Dallas Arbiter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it all hand wired. It was all hand wired, but
this was the era where it was a kind of a hybrid. It's got it's got a PCB on it. Marshall was actually building them at this time, I think it was. So it's got a PCB along with it for all the controls, but then everything else is tube.
Cool, man. Cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, it has been a joy talking with you, Michael.
If you're running out of the house, is the AC-30 lighter than the AC, or is the AC-15 lighter than an AC-30?
Well, with 2 speakers, it's about going to be about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mean running slow from the house? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might miss your airplane to the island. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
No doubt. I'm going to have to take
Maybe
a
that's
cargo.
what he's
Sorry, I
to
just
do.
had to go back and revisit. I was thinking. I was just picturing this in my head.
Yes.
As you're running out the door. Okay.
Well, Michael, I stand by my former statement, which is it has still been a joy talking with you.
We want to keep talking.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good. Let's do it. No, it's about the conversation. All the time it tends to be more conversational, and you relate things to a more personal level. So again, that's one of the reasons why I gravitated to the show to begin with, and why I've stuck with it for so long.
Thank you, man.
Nice.
Yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah.
It truly
Well, that's
does.
kind of the goal, is to just a bunch of guys sitting around talking about guitars and gear.
Yep.
And that's
It's every time that my best friend and I are together, it's what we're doing. We're talking about gear, probably 90% of the time, and the other 10% it's about either bourbon or beer.
Well, and that's you heard why when Billy got pulled on, it was like I don't know how much of that story you got, but we were at the local guitar show. Tony and I were talking, and we're watching Billy kind of run around and pop up here and there, and then he comes, hey man, I just got this really cool bass. But, hey, Billy, in my head, Billy is Otto from the Simpsons.
Otto Man. Yeah, man.
Hey dude, check out this bass I got.
Check it out.
It's okay looking, but it plays good. And anyways, so we were talking about that, and then he kind of skipped away, and
then he comes back with another, hey, check out this one.
This out. Yeah.
you thought that was cool, look at this. So I said, Tony, I'm like, he needs to be on the show, right? And Tony's like, yeah, I think so. And
He's one of us.
yeah, he totally is. And outside of just whatever guitar shows or whatever, it's like, I've shared the stage with him several times. I watch him, he watches me. If we're seeing each other, we're talking about gear. It always comes up. I'm like, well, that's what this is all about. So yeah. And so he's stuck around for so long. So I hope Billy, this is your channel. I hope you do stick around. Seriously, I really do. Please don't leave. Yeah.
I feel loved. I feel wanted. It's nice.
Good. Well, Michael, we have to do a little something right now.
That's right.
And
fire up the El Camino.
I'll hop in the El Camino. And actually, we're going to go crash at Jared's house, order a bunch of pizzas, leaving the boxes all over the floor because he's on vacation. So we're going to do that. And
wait a minute. Is the key under the mat?
You're complicating it.
What's the alarm code?
So this is a little something we call, let's see. Michael, do you want to do it?
Do you really want me to do that?
Yeah, do it.
Why not?
All right. Would you rather?
All right, we'll take it. Well, good done. I think Jared would approve. So please take it away, Maestro.
So you're walking down the street. Hang on, let me preface this. This is a Halloween themed Would You Rather.
Okay.
So you're walking down the street.
That's it.
They did the mash.
And you're on your way to your gig. You got your guitars in hand, and along comes the Wolfman.
Ow!
And what does this guy do? He ravages your gear, takes your guitars, breaks them. You're done. Now you're left with, what am I going to do?
What am I going to do?
So along comes Dr. Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Oh, Frankenstein. Sorry. The kind doctor says, I can make you a guitar with extra parts, spare parts, as would Dr. Frankenstein do.
Yes.
And
Abnormal parts?
Well, they might be previously used parts. Maybe people have thrown these parts away, dead and buried parts.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, he can put together a guitar for you that is pristine. It's beautiful. It has the absolute best playing neck. It has a comfortable body. It's got perfect balance. The paint on it is immaculate. But unfortunately, the pickups and the electronics, the circuitry, it's all garbage. It's the worst.
Beautiful but stupid.
Yeah, it's the worst that you could ever experience. And if there was any kind of settings on it that you would prefer to use, not available. It's stuck in the absolute worst setting. Ugh. Or he can build you a guitar.
So it's a Strat with a middle setting.
If that is your poison, Todd, then that's what it would be.
Todd's worst nightmare.
Or he could build you a guitar that is just absolute horrible to look at. It has a neck that is twisted. It is it won't go, you can't get it to intonate at all. The body may or may not be falling apart. It could be made out of plastic. It could be made out of fiberboard.
So it's a Sonex.
Because he's...
Or I should say, but the electronics are absolute perfect. The best pickups, it's got the best controls, and it's on the setting that would make it sound best. But it is terrible to play. The strings are rusted. Everything that you can imagine being wrong with a guitar, this is it, except for the pickups. So, would you rather have the Frankenstein monster of a guitar that looks bad and sounds great, or sounds great and looks bad? Or is it the other way around? You get the idea.
Yeah. All right. That's a mighty imaginative one. Thank you, Dracula. Let's see. Tony.
Fire bad.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Oh, man. I think I'm going to have to go with the one that has the great neck and the great body, but, it's sounding like a doo-doo is probably not not great either. But on the
They're
other,
both doo-doo. That's the conundrum.
but if it's not playing in tune, the neck is warped. I mean, I'm just gonna take my chances and the nice body and the nice neck, and live with the settings where they are, and hopefully correct some things on the amp. That's what I'm going with.
All right, Billy.
Who? Well, I'm a neck man. I do like a good guitar with a good neck. Yeah, but I've had both of these guitars in the past. So am I allowed to modify it after I get it? No, I have to just get up on stage and play it.
Yep.
Ooh.
Look good or sound good.
This is rough, man. This is rough. Okay. Well, one time I faked playing guitar. I was in a jazz. I was in the college jazz band, and then we were ripping through this chart, and the chords were just flying by, and so I'm just sitting there next to the drummer, and there's a big, huge crowd, and the audience was really into it. And the band's, just ripping along, and I just wink at the at the drummer, and I faked it. I fake strummed the whole song. It was classic, and
that's fantastic.
Yeah, we got done, and stood up and bowed and everything, and nobody knew the difference.
I think you might have done that a few times after you had back surgery. Yeah, actually.
Quite possibly. So. Yeah, the show must go on. But you know what? If it feels good, I'm gonna go with the functional guitar, but terrible pickups.
Okay. All right. Michael, how about yourself?
Yeah, I feel where you guys are coming from on this, but I'm not used to looking good. So I'm actually going to go with the one that has the tone that sounds good. Even though it might be a bear to play and it may be, just super ugly, I want it to sound good, because if you're going to be heard, sometimes that's better than being seen. Although, looking good is so important when you're on stage in front of others. It's like, oh, that guitarist looks good. Oh, but he sounds like doo-doo. He sounds terrible. Yeah. I think I still want to be the guy that sounds good.
Yeah.
So yeah. Tone's important to me, man.
This is so hard.
Really is. Tone is important to me. I'll take the tone.
All right, Todd. Okay, my knee-jerk reaction is to fit the guitar to what I do, which is look good, sound okay.
Good sound okay.
Well, the choice is obvious.
But here is the thing.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
When I'm playing, the thing that will mess me up the most, like honestly, is if I feel like it doesn't sound right, and like that it just gets into your head. If you're like something's off, then you're going something's off, and you're not, and you lose attention, and you're not in the moment, and I hate that. Yeah. So, and knowing is like, if I have good tone, I can make it go, right? And so I'm going with that, especially, crank it up, get the good tone, and, John swears that I'm never intonated anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter. That was a fun one. Yeah, I like it. Nice theme, nice Halloween-y theme. That's kind of cool.
Yes.
We need to thank a few people.
That's right, Todd, because at this point of the show,
Tanya,
there is a special group of people that we love to thank.
That is correct.
These are our executive producers. Now, you might be wondering, what is an executive producer? Well, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Very simple. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a patron, a sponsor of this podcast. And each level comes with some really lovely thank you gifts. But as an executive producer, there's one thing more. Michael, what is that?
You get to have your name read on the thing.
That's right, your name read on the thing, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers. Moon Guitars, Vader in Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola Guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, Michael Furman, and Andrew DeHaan.
Well, that sounds
But wait, Todd, there's one thing more because we have a special group of executive producers. These are our Grand Poohbahs.
Yes.
These sponsors have a fez to wear upon their head. Michael,
Yes.
Are you wearing your fez?
I have my fez on and my Guitar Knobs t-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey.
Excellent.
And also, it's worth mentioning at the penthouse floor with the infinity pool, it's come to my attention we have a rather permanent resident there now who's moved in.
Who?
Well, it's Billy. And so we said, okay, fine, Billy. And we gave him an orange kimono. So he can, at least be...
Well, at least he's covering up.
Yes. Be prudent, Billy.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
It's the party. It's the party.
So special
about
thanks
the party.
to these Grand Poohbahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguereda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wild Big Ups, Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. Eddie Serratos, David Poe, Billy Spitfire, and we have a new Grand Poohbah this week.
Yes, indeed.
Kevin B.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute, but there's one more.
I think that's all of them.
No, I think there might be one more. Michael Vanzandt.
That's right.
How could I forget?
Hey.
Aw.
Thank you so much. Long,
Hey, thank you guys.
long friendship we've had over the internets and through the guitar waves. So we need to say a huge, and again, a very, very special thanks to Michael. And by the way, Michael, is there any place that you'd like to send people on your behalf or to yourself?
Sure. I'm not overly active on the socials, but I do like to, follow and support, the aforementioned builders, bands, artists. And so you'll find me reposting. I'll also post maybe what I'm listening to that day, some photos from a concert that I've been to. So you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at S as in Sam 360 bassist. That's S360 bassist.
Right on. And Tanya, how about yourself?
Well, just head over to pickguardian.com, check out some of the things that I do. But by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do. I'll take good care of you.
Pickguardian.com.
Stand out in a crowd
Yes.
with Pick Guardian. It's true.
You know what?
That's true. That's what I'm doing. I mean, That's what you do. Billy,
trademark.
How about yourself?
Yeah, Billy Spitfire on Facebook and Instagram, as well as Billy Spitfire Unlimited on Facebook.
And
The Bastard Sons of Neptune, Find Central Ohio Surf, and Mathematics.
yes, it's on Spotify and elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Spotify, yeah. Pandora, we're on
All the
iTunes,
things.
all the things. All
Yeah.
the things.
MySpace.
But we're from Columbus.
That's
From
true.
Columbus, yep.
You can shoot me a message on email, Todd@theguitarknobs.com. And you can also DM me on Instagram @GuitarKnobs. We would love to hear from you. Love to know what you think about the show. Any things that you're particularly connecting with or have questions about, please hit us up. Our doors are open. And also, please, if you get a chance and you want to rock out, go check out the Valentinos on all of the places that you can find cool music. And we need to say a big thanks to Michael for joining our show tonight. We really appreciate you having on the show and supporting us, Michael.
Thank you, guys. I'm humbled by this, and also appreciate the show.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic guitar weekend. Subscribe!
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Nice to meet you, Michael.
And you.
Well, that was nice.
Mint julep is not from around here.
Yeah. Mint
Oh,
julep can only
Belvedere.
be made on a front
Come here,
porch.
boy.
Belvedere.
Sucker. I
Come
said
here,
sucker.
boy.
My God, I'm going deaf.
That was unnerving. Okay.
Well, I mean, I hope this doesn't sound like I'm sucking up to you guys, but one of the nice things about the show and your
Suck up,
format-
Michael. Suck up.
There's some dirt in this connection. It's a dirty connection.
On a well-maintained sweat stain on the seersucker suit.
Tony.
No.
Tony, the
No.
joke.
No.
The joke is over. Tony,
But it's
Tony?
just starting. Can we
back to your chair.
Oh,
All right.
Todd.
And his wife always makes him go to some like super hot beach that he doesn't like.
And he gets very sweaty and hungry.
Yeah.
And he's angry.
He's not a beach guy?
He's a pasty 6'8", 350-pound
Man.
guy who does not want to lay in the sun. On a
Well, there was that
beach.
time that he got, he was laying on the beach and a bunch of people came in and said, let's push him back in.
Yeah.
Save him.
He's dying.
But don't they have pizza? I mean, you can get pizza on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Check.
You effing kidding
Even
me?
though Columbus, Ohio is the number one cursing city in America.
No way. It can't be.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're the number one at everything. Who says this?
You know.
Yeah. Lean into it.
Is that all you got?
Unzip the pants.
Let me get a little bit of this.
Okay, we'll go with that.
I don't like it.
Yeah, but come on.
Choicest.
Was none other than Hal Holbrook.
He can wear a seersucker suit, man.
Yep. And oh gosh, now I just forgot his wife's name.
Mrs. Holbrook.
She was on that TV show.
Let me get a little bit of this.
Okay.
A little more.
Let me get a little bit of this.
There we go. Yeah, so I imagine he'll probably get, he'd probably fall asleep in a chair and get his feet really sunburnt.
Oh my God, my feet! I can't even walk. Check. I think I just fixed it.
It's got to be
online.
the Columbuses and that's Ians, or however we call ourselves.
Colombians.
Yeah, we're not Colombians. What are we?
Somebody probably went to a Buckeyes game and just listened to the crowd and said, "Okay."
Columbos?
Columbus is.
What are we?
We're
Columbos.
Columbus with an apostrophe after the S.
This is
This is
Columbusites?
Columbuses.
Columbus sissies.
Columbuses. There you go. Plural Columbus.
Yeah.
Yep. Columbuses. There you go.
Columbusonians.
I know the answer to this question, but it's gonna have to take a while to get back to me.
And that's when he enjoyed.
Pubersity.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like proboscis.
Should we start this podcast anytime soon?
Yeah, I suppose so. And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.